Supposing we'll take these three states. So I am in a state of daydreaming. State of daydreaming. Then I'm not really living life. I'm not taking in any impression of life. I'm just repeating something from my memory and making something out of it. Then I come in the present. Present moment. How many of us make an effort to remain in the present moment? How much time do we spend in the present moment? So, I'm reading something, right? I'm engrossed in that, I'm in the present moment. A musician is engrossed in his music, he is in the present moment. Dancer is dancing, she is engrossed in the dancing, she is in the present. But when we see the present moment, attention is only moving one way. If a meditator is dissolved in his meditation, attention is moving one way into the present. So when we divide the attention, one on the present moment, and one upon self. I in the present moment. So, supposing you're playing music, then I in the present moment playing music. You may be listening over here. I in the present moment listening. In the present moment, I keep forgetting. In the present moment, we may be doing any activity or involved with any event of life which keeps on changing, but still there is no presence. If I'm holding one arrow of attention inside, there is a feeling of I and there is a feeling of the present moment. Such a person takes in two impressions of life every moment. If the musician is playing his music, he is only taking in one impression of the music. But if you're playing your music with one arrow of attention on self, you're taking in the impression of the music and taking in the impression of self at the same time. Now something will change over here. Our whole perception of life will change over here. What would change? What would change? First of all, now we are living life on a double intensity. Every moment, those who are daydreaming, they are taking in 0. Those who are in the present moment are taking in 1. And we are always taking in 2. We are living life at a totally different intensity. Now, what will happen if we start this practice? What will happen if we start this? See, all spirituality starts with double-arrowed attention. Many people come to me and say, you talk about this, but in bhakti we are totally dissolved. I said, the very meaning of the word bhakti is to divide. Vibhakta. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? what will change over here? What will change? Because today we want to talk about memory, because we are going to talk about the next Avtaran of Devi, which is called as Brahmacharini. What does it mean? Can you tell me something? Two things I want to talk about. Someone who has made an effort to practice this. Okay. First of all, at the level of which the attention is going out, what happens? The arrow of attention which is going out, what does it experience? What experience does it bring in at any time? The experience of ever-changing life. The experience of ever-changing life. You're sitting over here just now. You're listening. Listening. Right? After some time you may go somewhere and you're having a cup of tea. So I is having a cup of tea. From listening, life has changed to having a cup of tea. Right? Then you may hear some sad news and you start crying. So I, sad. Right? Then you go somewhere else and you hear maybe you won a lottery or something. So I, sad, from sad goes to I, happy. Can you see? Life is changing every moment. Life is a flux. At one end of the arrow, life is a flux. It is changing every moment. It is bringing in new experience every moment. But what about the level of I? And the feeling of I, the sensitivity of I, the arrow inside. What happens? It is always the same. Its intensity increases. The intensity of the feeling of I increases. Right? But the experience never changes. So at one level you're experiencing ever-changing life. You're happy, you're sad, you're dancing, you're engrossed in something, you're criticizing someone, etc., etc. Right? You're experiencing ever-changing life, one arrow of attention on self. At the same time, you're experiencing something which never changes. Life is a sad experience. Feeling of I is the same. Life is a happy experience. Feeling of I is the same. So, this is the basis of all the religions that have come out of India. That there are two poles to life. One the ever-changing and one which never changes at all. Whatever religion has come out of India, this is the basis, the basic foundation on which they are built. That there are two poles of life. One, where everything is changing every moment. It is a total flux. It is the play of the gunas. It is a play of the five tattvas, the elements. And at one stage, life is never changing. It is always the same. But the intensity keeps on increasing. The feeling of presence keeps on increasing. So these two things, presence and present, are we in the present and are we present in the present? Now, how will we feel presence? How will we start with presence? We'll go back to our school days. We'll go back to our school days, and in school they used to have something called the roll call. Right? So we are in this state of daydreaming, We are in this state of dreaming, and suddenly our name is called and we become present. That feeling of coming there is called presence. Can you understand what I'm trying to do? That is a very beautiful feeling. That is the feeling of God. હું આવી ગયો. Right? People make all big labels, Shankaracharya said aham brahmasmi or something. It's okay, he said it. All he's saying ke હું આવી ગયો. I've come back home. That is all he's saying. Right? So but this presence which we feel in school is the presence when somebody calls our name. But when we had no name, what was the presence? What was the presence? Can we go back to that? So what we'll do is, towards the end of the session today, we'll do a small exercise for presence and present, to increase our feeling of presence, to be hold the presence, the feeling of presence. Now, all religions in the world, they talk about something dying and something being reborn. I was very much into astrology at one time in my life, and see horoscopes and all. So when I met Mr. Tavaria, my guru, without the horoscope he could see. There's no need of the horoscope. And I was sitting with him in the initial stages one day, and I had brought my horoscope. And I said, "Sir, look at this horoscope. You know everything. You talk to the stars. We have to study the stars. You talk to the stars. They tell you, they give you an answer. So that can you see this period? Death should come in this period. Death should come in this period. So between 40 and 47. So I said, that's the end of life, 47. So he's saying, yes, but death can be of two kinds. Either the body dies or the ego dies. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Now, try to see this. The astrological combination. Death. Right? Now, the body dies. There's pain and sorrow. But how many of us get an opportunity to dissolve the ego? How many times have we taken a body to dissolve the ego? How many times have we come and we've forgotten the reason why we've come? Dissolve the ego. So the very same combination of planets which could bring death of the body, they bring a different opportunity. Every stick has two ends. So there can be death of the body, there can be death of the ego. Well, I'm still living, so I hope so. What I'm trying to say today is that every religion talks about death and rebirth. What are they talking about? Are they talking about death of the body, or are they talking about death of the ego? Which death are they talking about? Are they talking about death of self-love? And in the death of self-love, love does not die, only self dies. So something is looking for a mother and father, and it wants to be born. Why is something looking for a physical form? What is its aim in acquiring a physical form? That which is looking for a physical form, we will call as essence, the soul. Right? It is looking for a physical form. It wants to borrow DNA from two people. Right? The mother and the father. There's nothing like mother and father. You've just given a loan of your DNA to a soul which wanted to express itself. Of course, there's an opportunity to grow as mother and father, to have a son and be free from the attachment, my son, be free from the possessiveness, my son. That is the opportunity. I don't know whether we take it or not. Right? So, what does it get in a physical form which it does not have as a soul? Come on, I did this last year. Everybody forgets. Right? Experience the life. What? To experience the life, what is it gifted with? What is it gifted with? What the soul cannot do, but the soul taking birth as a young baby can do. What can it do? Huh? Attention is beyond. But what does it get? What is it gifted with? Yes, functions. Which functions? Yes. It wants 4 functions: thinking, feeling, moving, instinctive. I love to talk about good food and restaurants. Which function am I talking about? Instinctive. I love to talk about my friends and relatives. Which function am I talking about? Thinking. I love to talk about the books I read. Feeling. I love to talk about the books I read. I'm talking about thinking. And I love to talk about the long walks I take everywhere. Moving. The soul wants these functions. The soul comes for the express idea of gaining these functions. As a soul, it cannot think. As a soul, it cannot feel. As a soul, it cannot move. As a soul, it has no instinctive function. Now, why does it want these functions? What is its aim in coming, looking for a mother and father and seeking a physical form? What is its aim? It wants to gather something called consciousness. It wants to gather consciousness. So, its aim in life is to rise in consciousness. Just as we go into the school of life and we get a BA degree and then we rise in our job and profession and etc. Similarly, the soul comes into the school of life. Life is a school for the soul. Right? It comes in the school of life for one express aim to gather consciousness. It has a subsidiary aim. What is the subsidiary aim? What is the subsidiary aim? To enjoy life. It wants to enjoy life. So, it has a basic main aim to gather consciousness. You know, there used to be something called the gold rush in Alaska, the gold rush in California, right? And what do these people who are looking for gold, what would they do? They would go to a river and they take a sieve and they take the, what you call, sand and shake it up like this and see whether they can find some gold, right? So gold is available in the sand. You have to separate the gold from the sand. Similarly, now the soul has taken birth. How will it separate consciousness? From where will it separate consciousness? Where will it separate consciousness? Come on. Where will? Come on, I did this last year. That is why I'm wondering. No, the events of life, yes, they are the raw material, but it will use the function of thinking. It will use the function of thinking. And when it uses the function of thinking with double-arrowed attention, what is it extracting? Consciousness. Can you understand? Right? We may be very, very learned, but if we are reading with single-arrowed attention, we are not extracting consciousness. But if you are reading with double-arrowed attention, reading the book and feeling the presence of I at the same time, every moment that I have felt the presence of I have extracted a drop of consciousness. Now is this clear? Right? So why does it want the function? It wants that function because through thinking it extracts consciousness. In the old days, what was this called? This extraction of consciousness through thinking. What was it called? In the Indian Shastra, what was it called? What was it called? No, Jagruti is the state of consciousness. Where you go. Right? No, what was it called? Gyan Yog. Huh? What was it called? Gyan Yog. Right? The soul uses the function of feeling, right? But it uses it with double-arrowed attention. I'm looking at my son, the function of feeling, but I'm feeling myself at the same time. One arrow on life, which is changing, and one arrow on the eternal inside. Am I coming across in this? Am I coming across in this? So when it uses the function of feeling, which yoga did we call this? Bhakti yoga. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? You see, in that space where it is as a soul, it has none of these functions. How does it grow? It cannot grow, right? So it needs consciousness to grow. To get gold, it needs sand. Sand is these four functions, right? It uses the function of feeling, moving. Now moving is the easiest. Why is moving the easiest? Why is moving the easiest? Right? You can see your moving functions. I can't see my thinking functions like I see the furniture over here. Right? But I can see my moving. If I'm walking in the garden, I can see myself walking. I can see myself walking. So, it is very easy to observe the function of moving. Your one arrow of attention on self, one arrow on the moving function. We don't bother too much about the instinctive function. So when you're observing the moving function, which yoga will be that? Hatha yoga, not all the asanas and everything. Everybody does asanas, nobody extracts a single drop of consciousness. The very aim has been lost. Aim has been lost. Right? So we use these functions. The soul comes for the explicit idea to extract consciousness. It comes in the school of life. This is its aim of coming in the school of life. And it wants to enjoy life. And instinctive function is a small part of enjoying life. Good food, taste of food, etc. That does not mean, enjoyment does not mean indulgence. Indulgence, right? We take the other extreme. So that we don't indulge, let us abstain. Wear orange clothes and abstain. Wear white clothes and abstain. Right? We are frightened of indulgence. Right? And you have to come, the soul will have to come again. Even if you wear orange clothes and get the height of consciousness to enjoy life, he'll have to come again. Right? Yeah.
So the soul uses these functions to rise in consciousness, to go back to the source. But when we go to sleep, you said the soul goes and goes to the source and bathes itself. Right?
Yeah.
How does it do that if it doesn't have
That is automatic. That is automatic.
So that's automatic.
Sleep is there where the soul gets rejuvenated. Right? That's an automatic function.
So it has the ability to go...
Yeah, if you're conscious in sleep, you already reached there. There's no consciousness over there. There's no consciousness. Right? Okay. Now, I'm going to go a little slow today. Little slow, if you don't mind. Today. Now, when we use the word I, when we use the word I, our being, it is made up of three parts. It is made up of three parts. Say a child is born. All the experiences which are coming in through the five senses go to the soul. But as this child grows, something else is born in the child, and that is the ego. It is not born, it is formed. And around the age of 4 or 5, the ego puts the soul to sleep, and the rest of the life, all the experiences go to the ego. And the ego doesn't want us to move into awakening, double-arrowed attention, so that again we start sending the experiences back to the soul. Right? Everything goes to the ego till we die. Nothing goes to the soul. At the moment of death, the poor old soul says, I came in life for experiences. I came in life to extract consciousness. Nothing happened. This guy put me to sleep. Right? He gave me some drug and he put me to sleep. I'll have to come again. This is the story of our life. Right? So, we have three parts. A real part, an acquired part, and an imaginary part. When we use the word I, how much of it is real, how much of it is acquired, and how much of it is imaginary? Okay, so what we come with is real. The soul is real. How does the acquired start? How does the acquired start? Acquired એટલે મેળવેલું, જીવનમાંથી મેળવેલું. It starts with the name. It starts with the name. So, before the name there is a feeling of I which is pretty real. Then comes the name, and the center of gravity of feeling of I shifts from the real to the acquired, to the given, to the given. Then somebody calls my name, I say I. I say I. And it happens, no? We are talking on the lower story, but we take somebody's name who's living on the upper story, he'll come running down. Right? Huh? That is, our center of gravity goes to the name. So, from the real feeling of self, we have now gravitated to the acquired feeling of self. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? This name is entered into school. Who studies? Does the name study or does the real study? The name studies. The name studies. Nothing happens to the real. Nothing happens to the real. With all my degrees go to the name. They don't go to the soul. All my honors and what you call trophies and prizes. I came first and got a gold medal. I didn't come first, right? Gold medal and all go to the name. Nothing goes here. Nothing goes here. Poor guy has come into the school of life and he's not getting anything. Right? Who gets married? The name gets married. The name gets married. Now, so we have a real side, we have an acquired side, je jivan mati apne medvelu છે, which we have acquired from. What about the imaginary side? What about the imaginary side? All this is revision, huh? All this is revision. What we did last year. What about the imaginary side? Yeah, but how? Okay, supposing we wanted to understand the acquired side, how would we understand it? What is it composed of? What is it made up of? It is made up of so many roles. Can you understand what I'm saying? I meet my son, which role am I playing? Father. Is the soul a father? It has nothing to do with the real. But through life I have had a son, acquired a son. I am playing the role of a father. I go to school, I am playing the role of a student. Right? I come here, I am playing the role of a friend. Right? So, every moment in our life, aren't we in some role? This is the acquired side. It's full of so many roles we play. So many roles we play in this drama of life. This drama of life. How many roles do we play? Right? It is the imaginary side. Right. So, I'm playing the role of a father, but somebody criticizes me as a father. What happens now? Ego. What is the ego composed of? What is the ego? What is the ego? What does it have? It has a huge it has a huge photo album. It has a huge picture album. It loves pictures. It loves pictures. Right? So, He says, you're a useless father, you're traveling everywhere, how can you be a good father? He's right. Okay. Huh? So, I feel hurt. Why do I feel hurt? Because I have an imaginary picture of myself as a father. This is not my real side, it is not my acquired side, it is my imaginary side. I have an imaginary picture. I have created it from my own imagination. What a good father am I. Remember the nursery rhyme. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner eating his Christmas pie. He put in his thumb, pulled out a plum. What a good boy am I. This is the story of our life. Every moment we put in our thumb, we pull out a plum. What a good boy am I. What a good father am I. What a good engineer am I. What a good teacher am I. What a good shirt am I wearing, etc. Everything is what a good boy am I. And we go to the Guru to be free of the picture, and we create a new picture of the Guru. What a good Guru my Guru is. I'm not saying what a good Guru mine is. I'm saying what a good boy am I, because he's my Guru. Can you understand? We went to him to be free of the picture. We went into spirituality to be free of the pictures. We make a new picture of spirituality. How many pictures do we have? Endless pictures. And every moment they reflect upon us. We are not living the acquired, we are not living the real, we are living the imaginary. Right? We become a member of some religious group. I am a member of this group. Gone, finished. It's the end of the matter. We are living in our imagination. Every moment. We are elected president of the Rotary Club. Does the picture change or not? If you're elected president of the Rotary Club, when you say I to someone else, does that feeling of I change or not? I, president. Of course, next year in rotation, somebody else is the president. Can you see? Our whole life we are living the false. Nothing is true in our life. Nothing is real in our life. Now this real side of us, he wants to grow. It wants to grow. So from the imaginary I, which is the name, the imaginary I, and everybody says love yourself, but nobody knows what is self. Right? And the self we know is all a picture. So we don't know what is love. We only know what is self-love. What is self-love? So today we are going to go into the story of Sati. And Sati's father is Daksha Prajapati, self-love. Self-love. That is why I'm going through all this, Right? Okay. Now every moment out of these three parts, the real, the acquired, the imaginary, life comes in. Which part does life come to meet? Which part does life come to meet? The role we are playing. So we have the real, we'll call it essence. We have the acquired, we'll call it personality. And we have the imaginary false personality. Or ego. Right? Now life comes in to meet this. Life comes in to meet this. That is, whichever role we are playing, it is that role which meets life. The role of a father meets life. The role of a student meets life. Life is coming to the role we are playing. Right? Whichever role. Role of a president. I don't know. Life is meeting us over there. Now, when life comes in, which is every moment, and life comes in as what? What does it come in as? Event. It comes in as an event. It comes in as an event. It is in our hands. Either this becomes stronger or the soul becomes stronger. The soul, either the false grows or the real grows. We have a choice. If we react to life mechanically, there is no double arrowed attention. We are not trying to hold the feeling of I, not holding our presence. Then life has come in, we have reacted to it, and what has become more powerful? You come and say, Arey, you built a beautiful bridge, and I say, oh, look at some more things which I have built. Can you see this tower, and can you see this lamppost, whatever? Right? What part of me has become powerful? Imagine. Imagine. Whenever we are singing our song, which part becomes powerful? Imagine. When we are talking of all our pains and sorrows, which part becomes powerful? Have you come to one conclusion about pain and sorrow after this? What conclusion? 99% of all our pain and sorrow is imaginary. Can you understand? Now, if I am holding double arrowed attention, life comes in. Life comes in as an insult. He insults me. Right? And I say, I am not like that. Then what has become powerful? The imaginary. But I say, hold on a minute. I pause inside. I say, the feeling of self does not change whether somebody insults me or somebody praises me. I say, if I defend myself, then the imaginary is going to be powerful. I look at the hurt inside, I look at the reaction inside. In that being free of the reaction, the ego dies a little. It is dissolved a little. And who eats that ego? The real I, the soul. The real feeds on the false. Its food is the false. Every moment of life. Spirituality is not going for a retreat. Spirituality is not going for an ashram. Spirituality is not sitting in meditation. Spirituality is every moment of life. Either the false is becoming powerful or the real is becoming powerful. If I've extracted a drop of consciousness, I make the real powerful. If I've lived life mechanically according to my old set patterns, what we call sanskars, I have made the false powerful. This is all there is to spirituality. Every moment of our life. Is this now clear to everyone? Right? So we have come with the express purpose of gathering consciousness. For gathering consciousness, we don't need to change anything in our life. We don't have to go to an ashram. We don't have to go to a guru. We don't have to wear orange clothes. We live the life we are But we keep on extracting consciousness. And now see the other side. I may be living my whole life a religious life. I may be observing all the fasts. I may be reading the Gita 10 times a day and doing God knows what. But I'm not extracting a drop of consciousness. All waste. All waste. And the only way to extract consciousness is through double-arrowed attention. This is the background which I wanted to talk about. Right? So, something has to die. We started with that. It is in the death of the ego, and the ego dissolves slowly, slowly, that the real I wakes up from the bar where the ego has forced it to go to sleep, and suddenly takes command of our life, and it realizes that it is nothing but a ray of the inner sun, the divine fragment. Right? So this is how I just wanted to make this background. Okay. Now, there is a story behind the Navaratri, and the story is of Shiva and Sati. I think all of you know the story. Sati was the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Daksh means clever. Prajapati, which keeps on creating. The one who's creating castles in his imagination. The one who is creating castles in his imagination. Daksha Prajapati. Sati means truthfulness. Truthfulness. She was born at the wrong place. She has to die. Only in death can there be rebirth. Only if there's crucifixion can there be resurrection. Have to die. So, she wants to marry Shiva, and she marries Shiva. It's a long story. Shiva take as Shiva Tattva. The auspicious one, Shiva, the auspicious one. It comes from the Sanskrit root, Kshati Papam. Shati means to sharpen, like a knife. You sharpen a knife. Papam means sin, but not sin as in sin. Right? Every moment if the imaginary what has become powerful, then that act is a pap, sin. No? Right? Don't confuse morality with spirituality. We confuse morality with spirituality. In morality, sin and what you call is something else. Right? In spirituality, even if you're speaking the truth, but if there is an ego, I speak the truth, then the imaginary has become powerful, the real has not become powerful, even in speaking the truth. Morally, you're absolutely right. Spiritually, you're totally wrong. Because I speak the truth becomes a new ego. It's a very delicate thing. If we understand this, only then can we understand Krishna. Because for Krishna, every moment, what is the path of rising in consciousness? He calls that path as dharma. He calls that path as, we call morality as dharma. We call duty as dharma. And he has no duty. Today he'll be doing his duty. Tomorrow he'll say that duty is useless. He's changed. Right? So this Daksha Prajapati, his daughter was Sati. She was married to Shiva, and he was having a big yagna. Yagna is the sacrificial fire. The sacrificial fire. Every moment in life, the yagna is in front of us. We don't have to do a special yagna. People do all kinds of yagnas. They have no meaning. Every moment the yagna is in front of us. My guru, he gave me an exercise. I talked about it in Los Angeles. The exercise was not to take anything in life personally. I don't think any of us can do this exercise. I don't think any of us can do this. Because I have money in my hand, but if I say my money, then I'm taking life personally. My son comes to meet me, and if I say my son, then I'm taking life. And my guru said for 1 year, no taking life personally. And what an exercise it was. You put all the yogas and all the asanas and everything on one side, they won't lead you to the truth. This one exercise will lead you to truth. Not to take anything personally. Somebody has parked the car in your driveway, you will say, my driveway. Don't take life personally. It's not your driveway. So difficult to live. So difficult to live. I'll tell my guru, my son is ill. And he'll say, sacrifice the suffering in the yagna, the sacrificial fire of life. Sacrifice the suffering. There is nothing like personal suffering in life. So many people's children are ill at the same time. Just an event is taking place. This is difficult. This is difficult. Yeah. Please come in, please. Don't ask. Just go. And you can leave also whenever you want. This is a tape recorder. You just press the switch and it goes on and on. In spirituality, there are no rules. There are no rules. In morality, there are rules. That is why I don't go to any ashrams any longer, because so many rules. Wear this kind of clothes, get up at this time, do this, have to do this, eat in this way, bell of eating will ring at this time, and in some ashrams, don't wear any shoes, etc., etc. And where you make rules, you kill freedom. The rule has to come from within, not from outside. And there are groups I go to. They'll go to somebody's house, they'll take their water with them. They won't drink that person's water. Of course, Christ just shares the bread of everyone, but they won't share. I eat only my thing. Be free of the personal. There's nothing personal in life. His food is your food. His water is your food. Your water. And they make a mess of spirituality. Make a mess. Be free of the personal. Be free of. Now this Daksha Prajapati, the yagna was for personal. It was not for, what do you call? General. We use, you see, I can't explain this in English because it is a typical, what do you call? Gujarati thing. No, but there are people who understand only English. No. My great friend over here, he would not understand Gujarati. Kamya karma and yagna karma. Personal desire and non-personal desire. When we do a yagna in life, is it for personal desire or non-personal desire? I'm a new home, let's have a yagna. A new shop, let's have a yagna. Right? Kamya karma. Personal desire. Personal desire. And the Guru says, forget the personal. From the personal, move to yagna karma. Life is a yagna. Yagna karma. So, Daksha Prajapati, he has a personal karma. What is personal yagna? Where the I becomes powerful. My home becomes powerful. My belongings become powerful. The I becomes powerful. And in this yagna, he does not invite Sati's husband, Shiva. Sati is his daughter. He does not invite her husband. So Daksh Prajapati, Daksh means very crafty. One who is creating illusions all the time, who lives in an illusion, who lives in the imaginary. Right? He holds a yagna. What kind of yagna he is going to hold? And in that yagna, he does not invite Shiva or his daughter Sati. Sati starts arguing with Shiva. It's beautiful. The whole story is so beautiful. Right? I don't know. I mean, married life. I know Shiva's married life. But then the rules are the same. The rules are the same. And I have met so many husbands. I'm not talking about myself. I'm a good husband. I have a good picture of myself. Right? And the husband will come to me. And the husband will come to me and say that, you know what? If I ask my wife to look after my mother, she'll say no. But if her brother calls from 200 miles away and what he wants, she'll immediately send to him. And all husbands face this, I suppose. So the wife has an attachment to the father, her father, to the family, right? So Sati says, I want to go for the yagna even though I am not invited. I want to go for the yagna. Her father had the yagna. So she convinces Shiva. Shiva says, no, don't go without an invitation. We cannot go. This is very important. Very important. Don't do anything in life without an invitation. Don't do anything in life without an invitation. Sometimes you want to say it to somebody, but only say it if asked. Go through that suffering. That suffering is more important than saying it. That suffering will free the soul more than saying it. Because you say it, the ego eats it up. And of course, in the end, you will see it doesn't have any effect because you were never invited. The soul grows through suffering. Make a point of voluntary suffering. Voluntary suffering. Don't make suffering involuntary in life. Become a friend of suffering. Patanjali has a sutra, Dukkha Dor Manasya Angameya Jayatu. I won't go on. And then he gives the remedy. Dukh ke samne kya? Against dukh is pain. What does he say against pain? Maitri bhav. Maitri bhav. Friendship. And all the translators of Patanjali's sutras have translated it that you go to a person in pain and give him friendship. And you understand that they've not experienced anything. He's not talking about that. He's saying, make pain and suffering a friend. Be friendly to pain and suffering. Maitri bhav, to pain and suffering. And when we see, pain and sufferings, it's a she. It's a she. Friendship is a male. I'm not talking about male and female as body. A male characteristic. Suffering is a female characteristic. Even if a male is suffering, it is female. The she. And you must become her friend. How do we become her friend? Voluntary suffering. Don't go looking for suffering. There's enough suffering already in our lives. Just make that suffering, where the minute the suffering comes, that inner resentment, that inner reaction to the suffering, change it from not wanting it to accepting it. This is a big step we can take in our life. This is tap, real tap. Tap means to generate heat, tapasya, to generate friction, to burn the impurities in friction, in the fire of friction. The real yagna of life, voluntary suffering. And if you can suffer voluntary in life, then at the moment of death, death will also be voluntary. It's like a, what do you call, practice for death. A practice for death. Otherwise, if suffering is involuntary, then death will also be involuntary. This is the rule. You can't say, oh, at the moment of death, I'll remember your words. You won't remember your own name also. Right? You have to practice. Make suffering voluntary. So Satish says, I will go for the yagna. It's my father's yagna. Of course, I don't need an invitation. Right? And she goes for the yagna. And at the door, her father comes before she can enter. And he starts criticizing her husband, Shiva. All arguments come from the lower psyche. All criticism comes from the lower psyche. Even though the word argument is very beautiful, very beautiful. It comes from the Latin word argentum. And argentum means silver. So the real meaning of the word argument is polishing the silver. Polishing the silver. But instead of polishing the silver, we darken it more. We keep on arguing. We keep on arguing. Like I said in the morning, when you're doing the Omkar, be very sure of 4 emotions. Arrogance, aggressiveness, self-pity, and tragedy. Now we are going to expand this. Whenever you're talking to anyone, we don't want any of these 4 tones in our voice. Right? So if guests have come to your home, and guests came with 10 loads of children and all that, and they tore up the curtains and they broke the dishes and right? Please don't talk to someone in a tragic voice. Oh, they came for 10 days and this happened and that happened and my beautiful china set. Right? Tragedy invites tragedy in life. Arrogance invites arrogance in life. Aggressiveness invites aggressiveness in life. Self-pity is the lowest emotion man can go to. It invites self-pity in life. Be very careful of the people singing bhajans. See that they are not singing in self-pity. Oh, poor old me, God up there, I'm his servant. Self-pity. That is why I never go for any bhajan programs. I don't know whether they're singing or crying. And they make a mess out of it. They make a mess out of it. When Meera says, Meera Dasi, she's saying, I've surrendered my ego. And when the person is singing, Meera Dasi is saying, I am just a servant. And of course, I'm a great singer. I have the ego of the great singer. It's terrible. It's terrible. We repeat the words of the enlightened one in the wrong attitude. With the wrong attitude. So she goes there and he starts criticizing her. And criticism comes from self-love. It comes from arrogance. There's an inner arrogance. He is now sowing the seed for his own destruction. Can you see? When I am arrogant with you, I am sowing the seed for my own destruction. She can't take it anymore, so she jumps in the fire. She jumps in the fire. She immolates herself. Shiva gets the news that his wife has died in the fire, and he sends Veerbhadra. It's all a long story, we don't want to go into all of it, but Bhadra means Kalyankari, the one which does the right thing everywhere. Please understand, Kalyankari does not mean pleasure-kari. Right? Krishna tells Arjun, I'll do what is right for you. I won't do what you like, what is pleasing to you. Untara shrema karis, prema nahi kar. How do we bring up our children? Do we do what is right for them, or do we do what is pleasing for them? So Veerbhadra, the one who does the right thing, Bhadra, who has the strength to do the right thing. Shiva sends him. But Daksha he's a devotee of Vishnu. So with Vishnu's power, he imprisons Veerbhadra. So again, Shiva creates the Shakti of Veerbhadra called Bhadrakali. Bhadrakali. And he sends her with another horde of, and they destroy the yagna and they kill Daksha. Of course, Shiva comes back and with his compassion, he puts a goat's head on Daksha and gives him life again. But that's a different story. Now, Sati has died and she wants to come back. She wants to come back. But she has died consciously. She has died in an awakened state. This gives her the choice to come back where she wants to. She comes back as the daughter of Himalaya. Now when we hear Himalaya, we think the mountain. Him, that which is always peaceful. Him means the moon. The snow, when it's shining in the night with the rays of the moon, that effulgence of the snow, that is him. She comes as Parvati, the daughter of the mountain. Mountain means that which gives strength, the Mooladhara chakra, that which gives strength. And the first form she takes is what we saw yesterday as Shailaputri, the daughter of the mountain. We saw that yesterday as Shailaputri. Now it's very beautiful. The second form which we are going to talk about today, it's 5:30 or 5 o'clock?
5:30.
5:30, no? Okay. The second form we are going to talk about today is Brahmacharini. Brahmacharini. Now, Shailaputri, she comes, she is born to Himalaya, she is born to the peaceful, she is born to the meditative. She has chosen a right father. There she chose a wrong father, Daksha Praj, the one who lived in imagination, the one who lived in arrogance, the one who lived in arguments. The higher never argues, the higher knows. What is there to argue about? Right? And so she now comes to the one who is peaceful, Parvati, the daughter of the mountain. The fire has transformed her. All the hate and the hate and the anger she had against her father dissolves in that fire. And she's born into inner coolness, Shitalta. The mountain is stable. She's born into Sthirta, stable. The mountain is stable. The mind is now peaceful. It is stable. Where does our attention go? Now the next step, as she is growing up, Shailaputri, in the next step of growing up, she becomes Brahmacharini. Brahmacharini. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? This is the second step. Now we are in the second day of Navaratri. What does this second day signify? In this, achar. The word achar means action, behavior. Char means to move around. To move around. Where is your attention moving around? Have you ever observed where our attention is moving around? Is our attention fixed on Brahma? The expanding consciousness? But now her attention is fixed on Brahma. It is not moving around. Brahmacharini. But our attention, take a small thing. I am seeing a serial which I love. Okay? So my attention should be totally in the serial. Totally in the serial. But it doesn't. Our attention does not have the stability, the sthirta. It is not born of the mountain. It is born of water. Right? So I'm watching the serial, and suddenly in the serial my attention will go to the instinctive center. I need a packet of wafers. Right? I get a packet of wafers. And then the attention, a lemonade with the wafers. And then the attention will remember, I left the milk on the gas. Hey, chokra, go switch off the gas. Does our attention remain in one place? Or does it wander all over the place all the time? You've been sitting here for more than an hour. How many times did your attention wander? To India, to Alaska. Where did the attention wander? But now she's come of age, she's growing up. The daughter of the mountain yesterday is growing up, and she sees that her attention is fixed on one thing. She can't understand. She can't understand. It is fixed upon Shiva, Brahma, her achar. And she remembers her past. She remembers. So now today is, today, the second day of Navaratri, is the moment of remembering the past. The future is nothing but an extension of the past. And if we have remembered the past, then the future is so easy to face, no? Because we've already done it. So many times. So many times. Then life becomes so easy. Then no one will come and say, "Arey, this girl, if I don't get this girl, I'm going to die." Right? But he knows he's got this girl so many times and then suffered. Right? But he can't see the past. So suddenly she has a memory. And this is a beautiful moment. This is the moment where we want to create this moment for ourselves. Where we have a memory of why have I come? What is my aim in taking a physical form? She has a memory. I was Sati in my past. I was wedded to Shiva. My attention is on Shiva. My attention is not Charini, going anywhere. It is Brahmacharini. Let us go, we have still half an hour. Let us go a little bit into memory. What is memory? Of course, there's so many forms of memory, but let us try to understand memory a little. I'm going to talk of three kinds of memory today. First is the lowest memory, sequential memory. When we talk of the events in our life, we are using which memory? Sequential memory. What did I do from morning to evening? Sequential memory. Sequential memory, it is in linear time. Past, present, future. It is sequential memory. The past moves into the present flows into the future. This is sequential memory. I'll say I was young, then this happened, and that happened, and that happened. Sequential memory. Many people have a very powerful sequential memory. I was with Vimla ji once for 3-4 years, and we were talking for some time. And she spent many years with Vinoba Bhave. Beautiful person, Vimla ji. She had drunk the truth. And she said that she was asking Vinoba ji that please teach me the Brahma Sutras. So Vinoba ji said yes. He took 3-4 months, never taught her anything. Then one day they were going on an 8-hour Padyatra. And Vimla ji was walking next to Vinoba ji. And he started, and the Padyatra started at 3 in the morning. Because before the sun becomes hot, you want to reach where you want to go. And Vinoba ji started reciting the Brahma Sutras. And now when they reached their destination, he asked her, tell me what you understood. She said, she's telling me, she said, I was able to repeat in the exact order which he said it. Only one slok I put back and forth. And Vinoba ji immediately corrected me that this slok you have changed from here to here. Sequential memory. Sequential memory. Some people have a phenomenal sequential memory. Right? In college, we have a good sequential memory. If the girl tells us the phone number, even after 6 months, we know it. Right? But if the wife tells us her mobile number and she goes out, why did you call me? I forgot your number. Right? Okay. So this is sequential. Second memory is emotional. Now for us, this is a very important memory. For our growth, it is a very, very important memory. What was the emotion? What was the emotion? I met you, sequential memory. But I met you, what was the emotion? Was it positive or negative? Was I in a good mood or bad mood? We don't remember. But when we start in double arrowed attention, just as we remember the events of life in sequence, right? I first took a toast, then I added butter, then I added jam, right? Sequence. We start remembering our emotional memory of the day. This is very important. Now, emotional memory over the years as we practice, it comes with a certain kind of intelligence. Sequential memory does not give that intelligence. Sequential memory gives us a kind of perfection in life. So, supposing you're seeing a movie sequential memory. But after some time somebody tells you, will you come for this movie? You'll say, no, all these movies are of the same type. What memory is this? Emotional memory. Can you understand now what I'm trying? The emotional memory has built a kind of intelligence in you. We call this intelligence as wisdom. It comes through the experiences of life. This emotional memory is very important, because before we go to do something, it tells us the emotion connected with that. It tells us the emotion. So we'll say there's no point in seeing Gujarati movies. All Gujarati movies are of this type. I'm not saying anything. What I'm trying to say is it tells us that all give the same emotion. In all the movies there is either one boy and two girls, or there's one girl and two boys. Right? It's emotional memory. So as we are in a state of double-arrowed attention, what I'm looking on outside is sequential memory. What I'm looking inside is emotional memory. This is the surface. This is the surface. This, now at the moment of death, all the emotions of a certain type gather together. Now, if we have not paid attention, then there is no intensity in the emotion. You understand what I'm saying? I read a page, I have not paid attention, I remember nothing. But if I paid attention, I remember everything. You understand what I'm trying to say? Similar is with emotional memory. Similar is with emotional memory. If I'm in a state of double-arrowed attention, I have paid attention to my emotions, my feelings, moment to moment. I know I woke up in this morning. What was my mood when I woke up in the morning? It is now I'm looking at inner emotions in a different way. I'm collecting a new memory. So the intensity of the emotion increases. Right? If I have not paid any attention, then it is like a page I've read, I don't remember anything. Right? So I'll say, oh, last time I met you, I don't remember my feelings, what I did. It's gone. But if I have paid attention, then I know from morning what feelings went through my mind, right? And I have paid attention to those feelings. At the moment of death, all those feelings of a similar kind group together. Now when I come again, and we may have met when you were 45, you may have been introduced to rhythmic breathing when you're 50, 45, but this emotional memory which you have gathered together in your next recurrence, this emotional memory, if it is of a proper intensity, instead of meeting at 45, we will meet when you're 20. You understand what I'm trying to say? That very emotion will attract the events of life. We are not yet conscious. When we are talking about Brahmacharini, she is conscious. She remembers. We have not remembered. But the opportunity to move on the spiritual path will come much earlier in life, the more powerful emotional memory we have. So when we start with double-arrowed attention and we are observing our emotions, the very act of throwing attention on the emotions gives them a certain intensity. Those emotions come with a certain intelligence. Forget the next recurrence. In this very life, that intelligence will help you. It will bring a kind of discrimination. I don't want to do this. I want to do this. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So this is emotional memory. But if we are totally involved in what we are doing in life, or if we are in a state of daydreaming, even worse, then there is no proper emotional memory. It's like a torch where the cells have run down. Little is there. Right? So, the more powerful emotional memory we gather, then that emotional memory comes with its own intelligence, its own wisdom. It tells us that don't do this in life, do this in life, this is the right way, without the use of the thinking instrument. Now there's a third kind of memory, real memory. Real. I go for a movie, right? And I'm totally involved in the movie, then I only have sequential memory. But if I'm observing myself a little whilst watching the movie, then I know what emotions I passed through while watching the movie. And I can give more intensity to some emotions and I can lessen some emotions. If I am feeling aggressive just because the villain is killing some hero or something, right? I can separate from that aggressiveness, and somewhere I'm feeling a little love, I can increase that love, hold that love. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Just by watching the movie and looking at myself at the same time, so many things I change in my life. Just yesterday I talked about crowd mentality. Let us talk again today. See, when I'm feeling aggressive, I'm sowing a seed. I'm sowing a seed. Something in my life is going to come to meet me in return for that aggression. What comes, I don't know. You understand? So now the hero is doing something to, I'm not the hero, the villain is doing something to the hero, and this villain has to die. Right? I'm full of aggression. I'm watching the movie. Right? So I'm sowing a seed. Right? Now here I meet him and I sow a seed. You're a useless person. Right? That is a single seed. But the movie at the same time is being watched by thousands of other people. So the intensity of my sowing the seed of that aggressiveness is not one which I did on him. It is one into so many thousand, because it is crowd together. It is crowd together. Can you see that aggression is going to bring something in my life? I'm sowing a seed which is going to invite something in my life. So if you're looking at yourself when you're watching the movie, then you will say, I want to be free. I don't want to sow this seed. So you will say no to the aggression. You will say no to the anger. You will say no to the arrogance. You will say yes to the love. You will say yes to the compassion. And life is nothing, the events of life are nothing but a movie. Are we watching inside? But in the events of life, the seed which is sown is personal. In the movie, the seed which is sown is crowd. Now, beyond this, I have a feeling of I. I have a feeling of I watching movie. And this memory which comes from this feeling of I, not feeling of emotion, feeling of I watching movie, it is a totally different memory. Then I know I'm watching the movie, I'm separate from the movie, as if I'm sitting on a mountain and the movie is happening down. Here the memory which is created is of a totally different quality. So in her past life, Sati, she was separate from the movie, even though she jumped in the fire, and at a certain point in this life, she remembers why she came for Shiva. This is that point which we call as Brahmacharya. Right? Now let us just look at time. Time is not just a line birth to death. Time is a solid building. Many floors, thousands and thousands of floors. It is a solid building. If in our life all we've lived is sequential memory, a little bit of emotional memory, we go out of this floor and come back to the same floor. We are born because this building is alive now. This building is now. There's nothing like past, present and future in this building. It is there. Right? We come out of this floor and we are born on the same floor. We are born on the same floor. Again we go out of the same floor and come out of the same floor. We do not rise in time. We do not rise in time. The real art of dying is to die on a different floor from the one in which you were born. To die in a different time from the time in which you were born. Now, supposing in this life I am using double arrowed attention, I am creating this new emotional memory which is very, very powerful. When I go back to the same floor, somewhere over here I will get an opportunity which if I use properly I will move to the new floor. I will go to another part of time. All time is living now. I don't know how to explain this. It's a real building. It's a real building. And we don't realize we keep on doing the same things mechanically and we keep on returning to the same part of time. We meet the same people, do the same things. Everything is the same. Nothing changes. Punarupi maranam, punarupi janam.
When you are talking about this time cycle, it applies only to the human being or animal being also?
Human. Animals do have only this time. Nothing. There's no self-consciousness. So they cannot go from one floor to the other. Right? There's a collective consciousness. Collective. Now, if in this line somewhere I become aware of self, one arrow of attention is on self. I am experiencing self all the time. Then self is a ladder. Before death, I can climb many stories of time. And when I come back again, I will be born in a completely different time. Don't take time linearly, 1995 and what do you call 1000 BC or anything like that. It is what I'm going to do in my next recurrence. When a person climbs the ladder of time, we do not call it recurrence, we call it as reincarnation. Sati as reincarnated. We all recur. We all recur. She is reincarnated. At a certain point, she remembers everything. We don't remember. Can we recall? Why don't we remember? What is it that doesn't allow us to remember? What is it that doesn't allow us to remember? In ordinary life, forget real memory. Real memory is of the I, right? When we wake up in the morning, what doesn't allow us to remember the dreams of night? Light. We open our eyes, what goes in through the eyes? Light. The minute light penetrates, we forget all the what happened in the night. You understand what I'm saying? A young child comes out of the mother's womb. It opens its eyes, what goes in? Light. It forgets everything that happened in those 9 months. We die, the first space we go into has a lot of light. We forget everything about this life. Can you see? So, light is material. Darkness is beyond material. Not the darkness of ignorance. Not the darkness of ignorance. So, try to work on this. Single arrowed attention, double arrowed attention, presence. The holding of presence. Every moment of our life, we move to a different time. The presence climbs the ladder of time. Right? Otherwise, we'll keep on recurring in the same loop. You know, we have those, what do you call it, play the music, play the loop again, right? Repeat mode. We all live in repeat mode. Right. Yeah.
So my question is, you say that building is at the current time or throughout the birth to the moksha? That means you cannot climb to the next stage or level until reincarnation?
No, you can climb right now. Right now. Right? Supposing you said these words, I'm not saying you did it, but you said these words with aggressiveness. Then you are on a certain line of time. But if you bring consciousness and you say the same words softly, haven't you climbed a little? You climbed a little at least. No? It's every moment, sir. The ladder is not anywhere else. The ladder is... Let's take it in a different way. Now that you brought the question, let me go a little deeper into this. I'll give you a small example first. My guru used to have a saying that when you feel hurt about something in life, and we feel hurt, right? The hurt, now this is his symbology, don't take it literally, otherwise you'll ask me which part and all that. Take it symbolically. So he would say the hurt first goes to the head. The hurt first goes to the head. Then he would say you become conscious over there, don't allow the hurt to go to the heart. Don't allow the hurt to go to the heart. Right? Now just keep this much in mind. This is our line of time. It's not a line, actually it's a circle, but circle is confusing, so I'm just drawing a line. Birth to death. This line is made up of present moments. It's made up of present moments. What is a present moment? We'll talk later on. How is a present moment made? Okay? Now, each of these present moments are crossed by another time called eternity. They are penetrated by another time. Right? Now, like I told him, if he has spoken aggressively, he is stuck to this line of time. But if he brings in a little bit of consciousness, then even though he's trying to move a little up into another line of time. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So each present moment is cut by another dimension of time. This line of time is what we call time. This line of time is what we call eternity. In this line of time, the events of life keep on changing. The emotions of life keep on changing. But if I feel my presence, I see it is not changing. My presence is in which line of time? This line of time. Can you get it? What I'm trying to say?
So this, you can go to the eternity, that's what you are saying?
You experience eternity.
Eternity.
It's a small thing. You take a piece of chocolate. Take a piece of chocolate and you hold the taste of the chocolate for a few moments. You feel as if you've gone into eternity for a momentary. You have gone up a little in time. You've eaten the chocolate in the present moment, but you've extended the feeling of the chocolate. Can you understand? I don't know whether I'm coming up. This is a small glimpse of eternity.
Now you are talking about, right now you are talking about linear time, right? This is linear time.
This is linear time.
And
This
what
is
what
vertical time.
what
That
is
is why Jesus died on the cross. Vertical time, linear time.
And what's the parallel time?
Huh?
There is a term called parallel.
We're coming to
time.
that.
Huh?
We're coming to that. That is why you go to the same floor. That is parallel. Come. Right? So if I'm feeling myself and I see that the feeling of self is never changing, it is not a part of this time, because when this time is over, I am still feeling myself. I am still feeling myself. See, Socrates is dying. So he takes this poison. And like we have a glass of wine, he was drinking the poison with that joy of a glass of wine. And all his disciples are next to him, his students. And he says, the poison is in my feet. My feet are becoming dead. But I'm telling you something, nothing is happening to me. I am what I am. The feeling of I. And then he says, the lower part of my body is totally paralyzed with the poison. But again I'm telling you, nothing has happened to me. And then he says, now the poison is throughout my body. These are my last words, because now my tongue is going to be paralyzed. But you please remember, Socrates has died. Nothing has happened to me. What is he saying? I am in another time, vertical time, eternity. The presence is in eternity. The present moment is in linear time. Am I coming across in this? Now, again I live a line of time. I live a line of time. Now supposing somebody has hurt me, my teacher says, take it to the head but don't take it to the heart. What does he mean? What does he mean? If I take it to the heart, it will penetrate into this time. So when I again come, that hurt is going to come to meet me. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Because it has penetrated the vertical time. So he's saying, be very careful of the hurts in your life. Don't hold on to them. Don't hold on to them. Otherwise, from the head, they will go to the heart. And once they go to the heart, they become a part of your bank balance. Take it with you. Take it with you. Right? This bank balance death will take away. But that bank balance death cannot take away. Yeah, you eat it on the way. Nasto suki. Right? Okay. Now in this moment, I may not have held presence throughout this, but there are moments when I held my presence, I felt my presence, I rose in time, right? Can you get what I'm trying to say? So when I come in my Rex recurrence, I have already touched those points in time. In those points in time, the inner presence, the inner divine, the inner Atma will speak to me, please wake up, look at me. And I'll again start progressing on the path. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Because I have, just as the hurt touched this thing, my consciousness allowed me to touch that dimension of time. So Sati remembers. Huh? She remembers why she came. Suddenly she's in a different time. That is what I wanted to talk about today. We won't be able to finish Sati today. We'll finish what she's holding in her hand and all that. She's barefooted. And there are inverted lotuses hanging from her body. All that we'll take tomorrow. Please try to see this. See the Yoga Sutra. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodh Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. What is Patanjali saying? Okay. In this present moment, if the wandering mind has been calmed down and there is an experience of the seer, the presence, he calls the seer as Drashtuhu, then you have gone up in one avastha. Avastha is a step. Avastha is a step. You have climbed one step of consciousness. So he says, Tada Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam. One step of consciousness we have climbed. Am I coming across in this? In his last sutra, you were asking that question, sir. In his last sutra, he says, Swarupe, here he says, Swarupe Avasthanam. One avastha after the other. In the last sutra, he says, Swarupe Pratishtanam. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Answers your question. Right? He has climbed the ladder. He has climbed the ladder. But till then, one avastha, another avastha, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Swarupe pratishthanam. Right? So in 195 sutras, he takes us from swarupe avastha to swarupe pratishthanam. He is established. Now the seer is established in his nature. Here the seer is rising up the steps consciously of his nature. Can you get what I'm trying to say? So we move from one time to another time.
What you are saying is our Rishi acquired that position?
Yes. And we can too. Through conscious effort.
Yes, conscious.
And voluntary suffering. Voluntary suffering. Conscious effort and voluntary suffering. Now I'm going to come to the final point over here. Yeah.
Okay, the way if we are working and being more conscious, we can find out. Is there anything that we do which will bring us down within where we are? Or
Negative emotion.
So that will get us down. Like, so we'll have to go back down. I'm just saying this to give us more power to work on this, or we can't all that.
This is one beautiful story. I'll close this now. We'll talk about this a little more tomorrow.
Before you close, just 1 second. What are the characteristics of the second Navratri? In the first yesterday you said Sailiputri came on the line, right? So what are her instruments?
She has a mala in one hand. Mala is Rudra Aksha. Aksha means eye. Rudra means angry. I have to take time to explain it, sir. I cannot. I'll have to explain what is a mala, why we use a mala. I'll have to. In the other hand, she has kamandal. Kamandal, where we drink water. Not just drink water, we quench our thirst. That thirst. Not ordinary thirst. We quench our thirst. She's come from Shailaputri, the mountain. She's barefooted. Her feet are absorbing the vibrations of the earth. So if you have a matka at home, you store water in it. But she is not storing water. She has a kamandal, just enough to drink. Can you see? Every moment is fresh for her. Right? She has gone into a different time. So I'll talk about it tomorrow. I can't in 5 minutes. I become slow.
It's perfect. This is the way.
Yeah, I'm 61 years old now. Right? My wife also says you're good for nothing. Right? So, what was the question? With normal awareness, we cannot go down. But a sudden break and sudden shock, we may go down. You know, there was this yogi who went into the jungle and he wanted to rise the ladder of consciousness. So he sat and he said, God takes care. He sat under a tree and started saying the name of God. And when he opened his eyes, there was a big leaf floating down with a beautiful pudding on the leaf. And he took the pudding and he ate the pudding. I said, God takes care. Next day again he sat in meditation. And again he opened his eyes and a beautiful pudding. And in this way, 7 years he climbed the ladder of consciousness. But you know the snake, Eve told Adam, right, you eat the apple. And curiosity gets the better. So one day it came to him after 7 years, who is sending me this pudding every day? Now the problem came, right? You should have been thankful you're getting the pudding every day. Anugrah Bhav, right? Kotul Bhav. So who's sending me this pudding every day? So he followed early in the morning to see where the pudding is coming from. And he came to one part of the river and there was a huge tower over there. And on top of the tower, a beautiful princess used to apply a face pack to her face. All the creams and all the honey and all the this and that. And she would spend hours and then she would take out all the face pack and put it on a leaf and put it in the river. And he said, I've been eating this for 7 years, and he got so angry on her. He, poor chap, he had risen to all those levels, he fell down in one shot. Right? Can happen. It can happen. Right?
So just accept the effect and don't go to find the roots. That's what they are saying.
Sometimes. Go to find the mystery of life. But if somebody is taking care of you, don't bother about. Right? They say never look a gift horse in the mouth. Right? Otherwise there'll be no teeth. Okay, our time is over. We'll stop over here. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll continue this Devi tomorrow. I'm a little slow, so we'll continue this Devi tomorrow. With God's grace, we meet again. Thank you. Good night. Jai Shri Krishna.
So thank you all for attending on a Sunday afternoon. Hopefully everybody's been enjoying this. As I mentioned yesterday, BVP is a very unique place where Rajan Bhai started his journey in the US in 2010. And because of everybody's continuity, he's able to speak on these topics at a much more deeper level, right? Every time he's here, he teaches us something new about the meanings and interpretations of life, festivals, the goddesses, the incidences of our daily life, right? The centers in our life and all these things that revolve around us. So this is a tribute to his guru that he's been on this journey for the last 25 years. He has his own personal profession, he has his own kids, he has his own livelihood, but more and more time he's spending on sharing his knowledge as a gift to his guru. But that's not possible without all of you guys attending. So on behalf of Rajan Bhai, a very special thanks to all of you guys for attending today and making this very special. The events are being recorded on Facebook wherever possible. So if you guys have missed any of the sessions from the LA trip or yesterday's session and you feel like you want to catch up, right, then you can go to Facebook Live. The group is called 3SRB Rajen Vakil 2017 Live Lectures, right? So you go search on 3SRB Rajen Vakil 2017, you'll find the recordings and you'll be there, right? Tomorrow's program for the next 4 days, Monday to Thursday, will be at 7 to 9 over here downstairs, 7 to 9 PST. It'll be 10 o'clock in the evening EST, that's Eastern Standard Time. India morning time, that will be 7:30 in the morning, and I raised all the time zones because there are people dialing from all over the world to listen to Rajan Bhai over here. So once again, it will be 7 p.m. PST, it will be 7:30 a.m. IST, India Standard Time, and it will be 10 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone, right? Right. So that's the program. We have 4 more days, about 7 to 8 more Devis to cover. He'll try to cover all of them. If you have any questions, make sure you're prepared with them. Also from the flow of the event, if you sort of hold on to some of the questions, maybe the lectures also sort of automatically takes care of it. But obviously Rajan Bhai is here. He wants to make sure he answers to everything that is there. Once again, a very special thanks to BVP for making this thing possible. There was one question yesterday while leaving, or 2 questions that came up. Oh, they saw the DVDs. They said, we have had all these DVDs. And people assumed they were the same DVDs from the past. Actually, this year I was in India right now, and I observed there were a number of topics that he's recently covered in the last 2-3 years that we've not had an opportunity to listen to over here. Self-remembering, conscious sleep, why do events occur in my life, how do I make important decisions, how do I deal with jealousy, envy, how do I deal with the 4 centers that he talks about. Actually, in the 4 centers, a beautiful talk over the last 25 days that he gave in South Africa. There's a smaller version of that, the other topics. All the DVDs are available right over here while you're walking out. Again, just a reminder, no money from the DVD sale goes to Rajan Bhai. It's only used for reproduction of the DVDs, right? So that's about it. We'll see you tomorrow once again at 7 o'clock in the evening. Thanks for making the event very special. Have a very good evening. Thank you.